Hey, it's Dasein The Philosopher here, and today I'd like to talk to you about my new book titled How to Never Be Broke Again, which will be released on December 9th. So with this video series, I'm going to be releasing a video for each of the 10 rules that I look at in my book, How to Never Be Broke Again. And these are 10 rules that I've been using personally and that I've learned over the past half decade since I was 17 to make sure that I'm never broke ever again. So the first rule in this book is that broke is a mindset. And don't ever have that mindset. I actually learned this rule from Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he talks about how there's only two money problems. Either you don't have enough money or you have too much money. And a lot of people will laugh and say that, oh, having too much money isn't a problem. But if you ever hit that point in your life, you realize that it actually is an issue. The thing here is that in life, we're always going to have problems. But I want to make sure that me and my family, our problems get better over time. I don't want to be dealing with the same problems that I had 10 years back in the future. I want to make sure that my problems get better each year. So with this first rule, that broke is a mindset, and I don't want you to ever have that mindset, a lot of this is linked to whenever we see something that we want, whether it be like a new car, a vacation, or something you want to buy for your significant other, and we look at the price tag and we say, oh, I can't afford that. You immediately have to catch yourself saying that to yourself in your head and switch it up and ask yourself, how do I afford that? The reason for this is because the moment you say you can't afford something, you essentially give up, and you allow your brain to be lazy and not figure out the problem and not troubleshoot. It's essentially you're limiting yourself. But if whenever you ask yourself, how do I afford that thing that I want, whether it be for myself or for other people, this actually will help you be more creative and actually give you and your brain the ability and the chance to figure it out. The more that you ask yourself, how do I afford the things that I want or the things that I want for other people, the better you'll have as a chance to actually get a solution. You'll actually be able to use your mind and its ability to troubleshoot and figure out a solution to this. So one of the first things that I want you to do in order to never be broke again is whenever you catch yourself saying, I can't afford something, immediately catch yourself and switch it up and ask yourself, how do I afford that? The next thing that I learned from an interesting article I read a while back is that high net worth families, I'm talking about like multimillionaires and billionaires, actually teach their kids to count in thousands before they count in ones. The reason for this is because in business, and once these kids have to take over the family business, they're going to have to be dealing with cost per thousand, meaning the numbers are always divided by 1,000, and that's their new unit. This also teaches kids to be comfortable with big numbers. This is why kids from high net worth families can be like, oh, it's only 100,000, or oh, it's only 40,000, oh, it's only 200,000. They say it's only that because in their heads, they don't see the thousands that the rest of us do. They don't see thousands as 1,000 ones all grouped together, but they see 1,000 as one unit. So one of my challenges for you is to count in thousands. Whenever, even if you're just counting like, oh, here's one marker, here's another pencil, writing utensil, whatever, and another one, try to train yourself and be like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. It sounds stupid or a little childish or like you're lying to yourself, but this will actually help you from avoiding a broke mindset, just because 1,000, once it becomes your new unit, getting 10 doesn't sound as bad as getting 10,000. You're just getting 10. It's a lot easier. It sounds a lot easier, is essentially what I'm saying. And the more you get used to these big numbers, the better you actually be. Like the more improvement you'll have with the paradigm and how you see finances and your financials. The next one is with this broke mindset and how you don't ever want to have that. One of the best ways to get rid of a broke mindset is to cultivate that self-trust in yourself, that if you are ever broke, or if your family is ever broke, that you have the skills and the troubleshooting ability to get yourself into a better situation. One of the ways that I learned this was in 2015, I moved out to Trois-Rivières, which is a small city in Quebec. And I actually went down to Montreal for a weekend. It's a short little story here. And I didn't bring money with me. I didn't plan for a way to get back home. I didn't plan for what I'm going to eat during my whole stay there. And I didn't plan for a place to stay. I actually went for a breaking competition, but that's beside the point. I gave myself that weekend, so the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, to enjoy Montreal as a city, but also give myself the challenge of figuring out how I'm going to get back home, just because I did work on Monday when I would be teaching class. And with this challenge, I essentially had to use all my brain power. I had to communicate with people, strangers, do things that were pretty uncomfortable for myself, but never degrading to the point where I had to like beg for money. Like again, you want to avoid the broke mindset. You want to figure out a way so that you can essentially find a solution to your problems. With that trip, it was very uncomfortable. I had to figure out all these solutions to this new problems that I had. Like I've never been into a city with no money and no way to get back home, even though it was only an hour and a half drive. I was able to figure out a place to stay. Shout out to my homie. We'll just call him Charlie, and a lady named Patty, who actually helped me find a place to stay, and we actually ended up in like a 5-star hotel that night. But you wouldn't think that going into a new city with no place to stay, no money to pay for food, and no way to get back home, that I would end up in a 5-star hotel without having to pay for it. Again, the more you trust yourself and the more you cultivate these skills on how to make sure you're never broke again, the more able you'll be to act in those situations where you should be broken down, like where it should have been over already. But with not giving up, and with always knowing that you trust yourself enough to figure out the problems, you will figure out those problems. So again, just to recap, the first rule of my book, How to Never Be Broke Again, is broke is a mindset. Don't ever have that mindset. And whenever you catch yourself saying you can't afford something, you got to ask yourself, how do I afford that? Last one is learn to count in thousands and start cultivating that self-trust that you can handle being broke. And that's one of the best ways to never be broke again. Like if you're never scared of being broke because you know you have the skill set and ability to find a way out and find a way back out of debt, let's say, little pointer there, if you're actually in debt, you actually have to work yourself to become broke. So you're actually worse off than broke if you have in debt. But that's beside the point. We'll look at that in another video. And yeah, that's about it for the first video. So again, I'll be coming out with more videos for each of the 10 rules of how to never be broke again. Stay tuned, and I hope you guys get exactly what you want in life and you don't settle for something that you're not really that content with. So have a good one. It's Dasein. Peace out.